Looking for action-packed fun? Come experience the excitement at NOLA Motorsports Park, just minutes from downtown New Orleans.
Feel the thrill of racing on our world-class karting tracks. Perfect for all ages and skill levels. Planning a special event? Host your next party or corporate outing with us for a unique and exciting experience.
And that's not all. Keep an eye out for an exhilarating new attraction coming soon to NOLA Motorsports Park. This October, don't miss our spine-chilling zombie paintball event. Gear up and take on the undead in an epic paintball battle.
Ready to join the fun? Visit NOLAmotorsports.com to book your adventure today. NOLA Motorsports Park,
where excitement never stops. Chocolate lovers rejoice. Scandalous Chocolates has arrived in New York with 4 sensational new varieties.
That's right. They aren't just chocolates. They're an experience. Premium edibles crafted with the finest ingredients, blending sweet and savory sophistication.
We're talking 20 milligrams premium chocolate lips, sleekly packaged, perfect for on-the-go indulgence. Nuts, fruits, caramel, it's an affair you can take anywhere.
At just $10, it's an affordable luxury. Fair trade, single origin, gluten-free, and vegan. Find Scandalous Chocolates at quality dispensaries like Travel Agency in Gotham.
Scandalous Chocolates. When you're in New York, awaken your senses and delight your palate.
The affair you could take anywhere. Scandalous. Are you looking for a unique New Orleans experience?
Check out New Orleans artist Frenchie at FrenchieLive.com.
Featuring original artworks, prints, and more. See it all at www.FrenchieLive.com.
Live event bookings are available. The gallery is open by appointment only.
And for private showings or parties, email info@FrenchieLive.com.
Experience the art. Experience the artist. Frenchie Gallery. www.FrenchieLive.com.
Hey, Jay, you hungry? Like really hungry?
Yeah, I'm in the mood for oysters. Hey, let's check out Trenas.
Oysters? I love oysters.
Trenas features a wide variety of local oysters. Char, grilled, baked, and on the half shell, even the famous oyster log.
Oyster log? I heard about that. You get 6 each of their signature baked oysters, plus 6 fried, all on a cypress slab?
42 oysters. We are going to love it. Trenas is located in the Hotel Intercontinental, 444 St. Charles Avenue, right on the parade route.
Sweet. When can we go?
7 days a week for lunch and dinner, plus a mimosa brunch on weekends, and happy hour daily from 3 to 6.
Happy hour? Nah, you're talking my language.
Great drinks, great wine list. An award-winning chef, Matthew Farmer, leads a team serving the best seafood in New Orleans. Trenas.
Trenas. Got it. Let's go. All right, so we have the journey and concentration. So the journey, understand that the journey is as important as the destination. Enjoy every moment and live life fully is the Zen life, Henry.
Well, that's what we're going to be talking about, Hank, today, about your journey.
Uh-huh. Ah, right.
Yeah.
Right.
Like right on.
Bloop. And then this next one, concentration. I love this one here. As a drowning man wants air, as a lover seeks their beloved, this is the way you must focus on what you want. This intensity of concentration will remove all obstacles. Woo! Wow. That's
Intense
good stuff
right
there.
That's good stuff.
So, heck yeah.
But we got a vibe, y'all. We got a vibe. I can tell by your smile that you're in my tribe. We got a vibe.
We back? We live?
Back. We're live. We're back with the first episode of the new season of the
Yes.
Only Good Vibes News Network. And we've broken away into YouTube and podcast form. And for our first guest, we have none other than Hank Staples, the owner of the Maple Leaf Bar, in here in the fan cave today.
All right.
Welcome.
Yeah, on the
Thank you for having me.
We'd love to have you, Hank. You're such a staple. Hank Staples is a staple. And
I can't get him to stop doing these things.
Hey, man, I wish I had control of it, but it's the universe. I wish I had control. But we are overjoyed, as you can see the smiles on our face and feel the energy rush radiating from us, to not only be in our new studio, but to have you here. I mean, such a person who's brought so much joy, and we're all about good vibes, Only Good Vibes News Network. And I'm telling you, music, food, art, all the stuff that Oak Street has to offer people when they come here. And that is really a good vibe. And then the music. Just the music, the fact that you have had, how many years has the Maple Leaf been open?
The Maple Leaf opened in December of 1973, so it's coming on to its 52nd year.
Yeah, and I know that you didn't own it all 57 years, all that the whole time, but you were always a part of it since what year?
I got to New Orleans in 1984. I did not make it up to the Carrollton neighborhood and to the Maple Leaf till early 85. Let's say the spring of 85.
Wow.
I'd say for the 52nd year, you guys should release a 52-year commemorative deck of cards.
That's a great idea. That is a great idea.
That is. I've never thought about it. 52 cards in a deck.
Yeah.
Interesting. That'd be one deck of cards right there, young Henry.
Well, we had a number of firsts. We were the first club to really showcase Cajun music and Zydeco music. We were one of the very first more established clubs to showcase the brass band music.
Amazing.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people, well, I mean, it's almost synonymous with music in general, but brass music, I mean, I don't know how many people have their Thanksgiving time going to the Maple Leaf to see music. And I mean, obviously, Rebirth is like, how old are they? They're probably like almost 30, 40 years themselves.
They're over 35 years.
Yeah. So
I'd have to think hard to come up, because they've been around for a couple of years before they played the Maple Leaf.
I think they may have been founded in 1984.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
So you know who, there's some interesting fact here that the Rebirth Brass Band was started by none other than Phil Frazier and Kermit Ruffin.
That's right.
And they had the band called, listen to this name, The Greatest Band in the Land.
That proved to be right.
That was a funny name for a band. It's pretty long, but then it changed to Rebirth.
So Hank, you've been in the bar business here in New Orleans since what year?
1985 was the first bar job I got. I got a job at Jed's University Inn.
Okay, well, where was that located?
That was on Oak Street at 8301 Oak Street, and years later, Muddy Waters. A lot of people remember that club. Muddy Waters was in that location as well. What
brought you to New Orleans? Because I know you're a transplant, kind of like me. What brought you down here initially?
Well, now that's a funny story. So I'd been living in New York. At one time, briefly, when I first showed up in New York, my younger sister and I were rooming together. And we were very close. And at a certain point, she had moved on. She was no longer even living in New York. But years later, she had knew how fed up I was with New York, because at a certain point, you just end up working really hard to pay for your apartment, to pay for a nice apartment. And she had come down in 1983. She'd come to New Orleans and had stayed for something like a week and a half, but over Mardi Gras. And of course, she had a great time and all that. And she sent me a little note, and she said, "Why don't you check New Orleans out? I think you'd like it, and you might do well there." She was right.
That's excellent.
Well, I mean, what was your sister's name? Which sister was that?
That was my younger sister, Dee Dee.
Well, let's give Dee Dee a hand, huh?
Give it up for Dee Dee.
Girl, you did the damn thing, Dee Dee. Thank God.
And how did you find your way up to Oak Street initially to Jed's?
Okay. I had been renting a garage on Pine Street that had been turned into a little apartment, but you could tell it used to be a garage. You could tell. And I'd been looking for a good bar to hang out in, and I'd been hanging over at a couple of other places. I didn't have to work at that time. I'd had a property on Long Island, and I'd made a nice chunk of change. And so I had left New York, and I'd come to New Orleans on my way to Central America just to hang out for a while. And with the Central America thing, this is when you get really stupid ideas when you're young. So right before I left New York, there was these news magazine shows like 60 Minutes. But this was not on 60 Minutes. It was on the ABC or NBC equivalent. And there was a piece. It was a long piece. It might have been 10 or 15 minutes long, which was long for those, shows. And it was about a guy who had gone down to Central America. And he was this guy in his mid to late 40s. And, he wasn't a good-looking guy, and he seemed like, an asshole.
Yeah.
So, and then when he'd gone down there, this is right when the Iran-Contra thing was, the Contras in El Salvador, wherever it was.
Sure.
And he had sort of stumbled into this, but he ended up just being a middleman, arranging for shipments of weapons to these right-wing guys that were being supported by the United States government. And this guy who was kind of an asshole, he had this gorgeous, maybe 21 or 22-year-old wife. He'd married a local girl. He had this mansion. And he had these, he had a cook and a gardener and all this stuff. And I was watching this, and it was like, I was shaking my head. And I said, I could do that.
I could get down with that lifestyle.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, yeah, but I also felt like I could handle the selling the guns, because when he showed up there, he knew nobody, and he all he did was broker gun deals.
Oh, okay.
And he didn't have any people he had known in the past who sold guns. He merely, however he did it.
So you and him pretty much had the same talent level, you thought, and you possibly could.
I thought I had more talent.
Oh.
So I was on my way to Central America.
To be an arms dealer.
Well, arms broker.
Arms broker.
Right.
Big difference. Kind of like stripper and dancer. Not the same.
It's like being a pimp versus a hooker.
They're different.
So anyway, and I came to New Orleans, and I was living in the 200 block of, I had got a little apartment, and I was living in the 200 block of Charter Street. And pretty quickly, there were like 3 or 4 bars were letting me run a tab. Well, in New York, where I had come from, you had to be at a bar for years before they'd let you run a tab.
Right.
This is when, it's a long time ago. A lot of the credit cards only
Kind of obsolete.
Only wealthy people had credit cards, and the bank cards were very new.
They didn't have ATM cards. That was not something they had in it.
There were no ATM machines. And but banks would have a little machine you could get $20 from, but not all banks had them. It was all very new. It's a long time ago. So
So you're here in New Orleans, and you're kind of getting blown away because you're like, wow, these people let me get these tabs. I think my sister may have a point here. This place, you can start to get comfortable, I feel like.
Well, that's right. And then, of course, I was astounded at how low the rents were, and it's funny because we're talking comparatively to Manhattan, but I got a place and I was bragging about it, and it had central air and heat, this and that. It had a balcony, and it was $400 a month. And so when I'm in the little bar that I had become my regular joint, I'm kind of bragging about the place, and I see people looking at each other and shaking their heads. And, they thought, what, this guy's crazy.
Joke's on him.
Yeah, joke's on him, because $400 a month in 1984 is a lot of money. And
but you are in Bourbon Street. You're in the French Quarter, correct?
The apartment was on Charter Street, which is residential. There's almost no commercial stuff on Charter. And
I think that would seem like a good deal even now. That was a long time ago, but $400, I guess it was a lot of money back then.
Now it would seem like a really good deal.
Right.
Yeah, somebody would set his mistress up there, and she'd still have to chip in $400,
So once you got here, you started to feel New Orleans, and when did you migrate from the French Quarter up to Jed's?
Pine Street.
Yeah, and Oak Street, and when you started getting introduced to that, was it the first trip, or this first trip you were did you ever go back, or did you just say I'm here for good? Or
you never made it to South America?
No, never made it to
another save.
Central America.
Yeah.
So at a certain point, I decided maybe I'll finish up my college degree, because I don't have a college degree, and I started taking some classes at Tulane, and the ride up just to take these few classes, it was a long ride, and so I got an apartment on Pine Street, walking distance.
You could walk over, yeah.
And but I also wanted to find a bar that I could hang out at and spend my free time. And that's how I ended up on Oak Street. I was walking around trying to find, I was looking for a place. It was kind of designed by the Maple Leaf. I was very interested in music, and all the joints in New York I really hung out at. Most were jazz clubs, but most of them had live music. So I'm just walking around, and I end up discovering the Maple Leaf. And then after I'd been a regular at the Maple Leaf for a few weeks, whatever, there was a bar across the street called Jed's University Inn. And it's funny because it was owned by Jed Palmer. And Jed Palmer was from Washington, D.C., where I was from. And I grew up around the corner from where Jed's house was. But our garages faced each other diagonally. There's an alley. Every neighborhood in D.C. had an alley system. And so their garage and our garage faced each other across this alley.
So had you seen Jed before, or you didn't really know him at all when you lived in the same neighborhood?
The last time I had seen Jed Palmer, he's a notorious guy from the olden days in New Orleans. But the last time I had seen Jed Palmer till I moved to New Orleans was in 1965. And I was 9 and he was 21, and he was beating me up with my own hand. He was the neighborhood bully.
Why are you hitting yourself? Why do you keep hitting yourself?
That's not very nice.
Yeah, Jed must have been a wild guy. I mean, he's out there just being able to get into bars, and he's beating up 9-year-olds.
Well, I'll tell you this also. he had a Model A Ford when he was a teenager, and he had fixed it up enough to where it was running. And one block over from where like about 2 blocks from where I was, but 1 block from Jed, was the Taiwanese ambassador's residence. And it was on this enormous property of land. I mean, it might have been 2 or 3 acres, which in the middle of a city is quite a bit. And there was this long road that went up to the front door of the where you would enter the ambassador's residence. This, nice mansion, and then the road would kept going. It was on a kind of an arc, and you could come in, drive up, and keep driving, and go back and be back on the street. And one of the things Palmer and his bunch of little cronies did, they would go up at night in their Model A Ford, and they'd have tons and tons of firecrackers and stuff. And going up there, they'd be throwing the firecrackers. So there's all this noise, pow, 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 and staff would come out. And as they drove by the front of the ambassador's residence, they would dump off old shirts and pants and stuff. And they'd be yelling things like, "Damn it, I said no starch." And you have to understand that when they were doing this,
that is not politically correct.
When the ambassador was having to deal with this foolishness, at the same time, the United States, one of the big issues of the 1960 presidential campaign was there were 2 islands off Taiwan called Quemoy and Matsu. And they were disputed. The mainland China was claiming ownership, but at the time they were officially Taiwanese. And so one of the big questions was, would the U.S. go to war, and possibly nuclear war, to protect Quemoy and Matsu? And while that was in the news, the ambassador was also dealing with this guy throwing firecrackers and leaving dirty laundry.
Yikes.
It was...
Well, I hope Jed doesn't... Is Jed alive still?
No, he died many years ago.
I was like, I think Jed might be making the phone call to you.
So then, sort of through Jed's, and then you're involved with the Maple Leaf. How did you get involved with the business at the Maple Leaf beyond being just a customer there?
Well, I was... I had a good job at an outfit called the Bureau of Governmental Research here in town. It's still around. I'm a member now. But at the time, one of our neighborhood guys, he had been the chief economist for the city of New Orleans, and he'd been hired as the executive director of the BGR. And he hired me originally as an editor, because none of those guys could write simple, direct English. So I would take the reports and I would edit them. I'd correct, the spelling, punctuation, but I would also, clean up the English. And I ended up writing a bunch of the reports. I loved the job, but anyway, that's how. But I was laid off from that job, and the funding was very iffy back then. So, last hired, first fired.
And then how did you get involved with the Maple Leaf then?
Well, so I had been living at the Maple Leaf.
Oh, upstairs in one of the apartments there?
Yeah, to the apartment I live in to this day.
Oh, wow.
40-something years later. So the building and the business was 4 guys, but there was one local guy who owned most of the building. There were a couple of, he had like 50% of the building. One had 40%, whatever. But he was the guy who ran that, and he was worried about losing me as a tenant because I was kind of old school. I paid the rent 3 to 5 days early. he didn't have to track me down for the rent, and it wasn't anything where I give him a check and say, hold the check for 4 days. It wasn't. It was just I paid him the rent on time or early.
You're pretty much like what we call these days a direct deposit.
Yeah.
Right in there on the first.
So when I was laid off from my job at the BGR, he didn't want to lose me as a tenant. So he hired me at the bar. And I'd had experience because over at Jed's, I'd been a bartender. And I knew the neighborhood people because of that.
I got one question about Jed's.
Mm-hmm.
I heard a lot of things about Jed's. Can you tell me some famous people that were at Jed's that you might, like when you were there? Or not that necessarily working, but that, because Jed's seems like it was a Maple Leaf before the Maple Leaf from people telling me some things, the music or whatever.
But he had, it had its ups and downs. And but here's an interesting thing. To the best of my knowledge, Bruce Springsteen has played 2 joints on Oak Street. One, of course, was the Maple Leaf. He played there twice.
Wow.
In 88 and 92. Not officially booked, but he came by and he sat in and he played, But back in the 70s, mid-70s, I guess early 70s, when Jed's was fairly new and Springsteen was a youngster, he played at Jed's,
Interesting.
He may have been one of the first people to get Oak Street disease.
Yes.
Very, very good. So back to the Maple Leaf. So he didn't want to let you leave, so he offered you a job. What was his name?
That was Carl Brown.
So Carl Brown, we got to give it up one time for Carl Brown.
Rest in peace.
Because
Carl
you
Brown.
you are a cultural barrier. You are a business owner. You are a man of town. You are a man about town. You love music. You love food. You love to go. So it's important for me to congratulate the people who helped you get here, and I'm happy that you didn't go sell weapons over and
When you really get down to it, I am too. I'm, I would have ended up being shot.
No, you think?
Yeah, at some point,
you want to go and get that. I'm glad you stayed in New Orleans.
I might have been paid in cash, and then anybody who knew I was paid in cash
could have got you.
Just another dead gringo in
Right.
Santo Domingo.
And that's if they even found the body.
Well, we're going to ease back into some positive news here rather than bats. But Hank, this is interesting. This is like, I thought I knew you really well. And then, wow.
So then you talk to Jed and not Jed, I'm sorry. You talk to Carl Brown.
Yeah.
And he offers to let you work there at the bar. And then eventually they need someone to buy someone out or something, because you are now the guy at the Maple Leaf Bar. So how did that come to be?
Well, it's at one point, Carl he had expressed how there were originally 6 owners, but by the time I showed up on the scene, it was down to 4. But there was one that Carl really, really disliked. And so he was sort of interested in getting rid of him. And I was interested in buying into the place. And I had the money. So, but at a certain point, Carl and I, we were having these meetings, regular meetings, so-called strategy meetings. But at a certain point, it's like, why don't I just go talk to him and say, I'll buy your shares for this much. And Carl was like, oh, you don't know, that might mess it up. And I realized after a while that Carl really had no intention of helping me buy in, but he liked having lunch with me.
Right. He wanted to keep you on the hook because the brainstorming sessions were good for him.
Right. And but at that roughly at that period, after I'd been trying for a while to buy in, but letting Carl handle it. The New York guy, there was one of the owners lived in New York, and he had two very successful bars in New York, which I had been a semi-regular at both places. They were great places. They're still there. They're still in New York, and he's still there. But anyway, he came down. I guess it might have been Jazz Fest. His name is Jim Stratton. He was visiting New Orleans just to check up on stuff, and he had heard, that I was trying to buy in. And at one point, when I ran into him at the bar, he said, "Listen, this place is dying, and it needs someone like you." And then he handed me a business card, and he said, "When you're ready to buy in, call me. I'll sell." And so I worked through Jazz Fest, and then of course, I called him up. And it was funny because Carl was so angry because...
Plus, he didn't get a percentage on the deal, like for brokering the deal
right
between you guys.
And also, it established a price for the business and building. And one of the things, Carl, one of the ways he was using to stall was he was saying, how do we even establish a value?
How do we even know what this is worth?
Yeah. And so I, just by Stratton selling to me for, he sold for what I offered him. And that established the value.
So when was it? Were they already doing music at that time?
Yes,
Who was some of the acts?
Well, of course, Rockin' Doopsie Senior.
The Prince. Rockin' Doopsie's dad is the Prince of.
He was the king.
Oh, the king. I'm sorry. Doopsie's the Prince. Sorry, my bad.
Rockin' Doopsie Senior, the king of Zydeco. He was one of the regular acts, of course. Well, James Booker died in 1983, so I never even met Booker. I didn't get to town until '84.
Oh, I was wanting to ask you about him, but yeah.
But and we had a Cajun band. It wasn't Filet. That was a little later. It was Laissez-Faire. Laissez-Faire was the Cajun band. And, of course, some of the big acts, the Radiators were playing about once a month. Marsha Ball, she's still around. I think she owns a place in Austin, as well as being a great performer, vocalist, and keyboard player. And Beau Soleil, Grammy award-winning Cajun band.
I heard rumors that that there was constantly like a bunch of different people walking in and just playing like that you didn't actually have on, like Bruce Springsteen. Like there'd be a lot of that kind of stuff going on at the Maple Leaf. Like some people just heard about it, and I think it was one of the number one, like the first place to have Cajun music. Is that true?
We were certainly the first place that showcased it, and there's over the years there've been a couple of different people who were affiliated with some place downtown who would get all huffy, and
because
they'd say, "Oh, well, we had Cajun music in 1976," but it was like they didn't do it once a week; they do it like once a year.
So that's what's going to be my next question. So would it open 7 days a week with live music then?
No. Let's see. We at one point we were closed on Mondays
because I think that's one of the biggest things that I think that was gone like without a lot of attention being played to it. How difficult it is to have a bar first of all, then to have live music 7 days a week. And you guys at one point was going until 2:00 every day, every night.
Yeah.
And so what I'm getting at is like that is such a long history and lineage of music. it started off with a few days. Then you guys, when did you bring in the 7 days? Was that your doing or?
No, way back in the day, it wasn't like a thing. It would, where it was just automatically accepted that it was music 7 nights a week. At one point, I think it was only 4 nights, and it was that for a while, for a couple of years. But it, there'd be times when something would pop up or be available, and, there'd be more music. And when I first showed up in '84, it was I guess it was 5 nights. I think the Monday and Sunday and Monday were off nights.
I'd almost lost my train of thought a second ago, but I had 2 questions. I just got the first thing I was thinking about. So the rumor was that John Cleary came there and he worked before he even played any music instrument.
When Cleary showed up in New Orleans, there was this pipeline from England to New Orleans, and it started out, there was a very, very pretty gal who worked as a bartender at the Maple Leaf. Her name was Fiona, and she had grown up in South England. She was very young, and a lot of this pipeline from England to New Orleans came through people who knew Fiona. And there were a couple of others. There was a little crew of them that came here. And at a certain point, there was this little pipeline where people in England, they had heard through the pipeline, if you're going to New Orleans, go to the Maple Leaf. And so John Cleary, when he was 18 or 19 years old, that's what he did. He got into town, and he took a cab right to the Maple Leaf, and he didn't know anyone. He had no place to stay and no job and not much money. And when he left, he had a place to stay and a job. And, of course, they fed him that night. I don't know how long they fed him, but,
he didn't go hungry.
He didn't go hungry. And then he didn't have a job, but at the time, the Maple Leaf building was in dreadful shape. And among other things, it needed to be painted. So Carl Brown hired Cleary and a bunch of these other really young English guys. And there was a community of really young French guys. And so in the neighborhood, it was called the Limeys versus the Frogs.
And did he have them working together to paint the building or no?
Not together.
Not together.
The Limeys worked on one side, and the Frogs worked on the other. And
good thing I don't know what that means, but it's okay. Let it go on a high wire over my head. But so he was a part of a crew that helped beautify the Maple Leaf back in those days. Were you there
Who
already?
did the better painting? Hold on a second. I want to backtrack this 1 second.
Sure.
Who did the better painting? Which side got painted faster?
That was before my time.
That's what I was going to say. And that's a good answer. No, but I was wondering, so you just answered that question for me. I was wondering if, Cleary was there before your time. Because
yes, he was.
Oh, wow.
He
That's interesting.
Yeah, because he would fill in for James Booker. So
that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
We might have to get you on here, John.
Hold on. Because Booker died in '83.
Right.
I don't think John was old enough.
Really? Because the Oak lore.
Yeah.
What I had always heard is he took that job painting. He saw Booker play there, and then he was in there messing with the piano. And then one day Booker didn't show up. They said, "Hey, John, you want to play tonight because Booker's not here."
I don't think so because this is how I know it. Now I'm going to make a point of asking John.
Of course.
But he how he learned how to play the piano, he was hired to paint the Maple Leaf, along with all those other, young British guys. And at lunchtime, John was a very, very good guitar player. He knew music, but he had never played the piano, to the best of my knowledge, when he came to New Orleans. And he was fascinated by Booker's music. And when he take a lunch break from the painting, the dreadful painting job, let's call it what it was, he had a cassette tape of Booker playing piano at the Maple Leaf, and he'd go pour himself a Guinness beer, not pay for it, and he would go and he'd play a little section on the cassette, and then try to copy it on the piano. And that's from what this is the legend that I heard about John learning to play the piano was a lot of it came from trying to copy Booker on the piano on stage.
So in that sense, Jamie's a musician, so I guess he learned by ear.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But as I said, John was a very good guitar player already, so he knew music.
He played the guitar last night a couple of times. He played the Maple Leaf last night, and it was unbelievable.
Yeah.
He's really good.
Really
So, John, man, he has a real like you. That's one of the things I wanted to say about Oak Street. It's the weirdest thing. I forget who coined this phrase. Maybe either you or Jock, one of you guys said that Oak Street is the center of the universe. And the thing is, I never could understand how these people just ended up at the Maple Leaf and became like you from DC, and now the Maple Leaf. There's history. Jack was in New York, Syracuse, the Maple Leaf. Frenchie from Lowell, Massachusetts. And it's just like bookends of what New Orleans is about, and some of the people in the areas there. My grandmother was baptized in the river right over there where the little beach part is. But it's just that place brings so many people from other places to find that place home. The same way with the people coming to listen to music too, and coming to eat at Jack's.
Mm-hmm.
He don't even really advertise.
No.
But people find it.
Yeah.
So I think that's a very interesting thing that's going on there. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
From the people that work there. Jamie came from West Virginia. He's worked there. I mean, he's like a pillar.
I would probably not be sitting in this room right now if it wasn't for Hank Staples and the Maple Leaf Bar.
Let us talk about, when did you start working at the Maple Leaf?
I started working at the Maple Leaf in 2005.
Wow.
Yeah. One of my first big shifts, I had done some day shifts and worked the back bar a couple of times. One of my first big shifts at the Maple Leaf was the night of Katrina, was the Saturday night that Katrina hit.
I remember that night well.
Absolutely.
I remember it too. Our king was Leo Randy Frechette.
It sure was.
You know what I mean? And we were supposed to be leaving, and we evacuated, but we waited the next day. But if any way you could ever say goodbye to a city that you loved, and I'm a sixth generation New Orleanian, I couldn't come up with like a plan or write out what actually happening if I thought of it myself. But the fact to have 2,000 people with a police escort, second line from the Maple Leaf to the traditional route over to Carrollton Station, over to the Snake and Jake's, going around and Madigan's, back to the Maple Leaf. Like, that was the last time that we saw New Orleans the way that it was before Katrina, because it's drastically different.
That's right. For viewers or listeners who are unfamiliar, there's a neighborhood carnival organization, the Crew of Oak, and it does two events in the year. There's a parade and ball in carnival season, but there's also something called Midsummer Mardi Gras, and at some point in August there'll be this huge ball, but also a parade before that through the neighborhood. And the night before Hurricane Katrina, that was the night of our scheduled Midsummer Mardi Gras. So we had it, even though at least 3/4 of the membership and participants had already evacuated. But there was still a core crew. So we did parade through the city, our uptown neighborhood. And I remember at a certain point, it started raining very hard before the parade was over. And most of us just took off running to get back to the Maple Leaf to get out of the rain.
Yeah. So I'm so happy that you touched on that. We wanted to touch about, because this is only talking about good vibes and, the news that's going around, that's good things that are happening in New Orleans. We want to help people focus on that. And you have been on, and you do it in so many ways. And Midsummer Mardi Gras, I'd like to zoom in on that a little bit. Like, when did that start? And kind of, for someone who don't really know what Midsummer Mardi Gras is, can you give us a little synopsis on how it started and what it's about?
Well, of course, Mardi Gras is a Catholic event tied to Lent and Easter, and Mardi Gras is calculated. It's the last day before Lent starts, and then Lent continues until Easter Sunday. And during Lent, people are not supposed to. They're supposed to sacrifice, and so Mardi Gras is a big event in New Orleans, in Louisiana. But Midsummer Mardi Gras started with a bunch of kids who went to, I'm trying to remember the public school.
Forche
High School. And this was a bunch of kids, and they all lived not far from the Maple Leaf, but the Maple Leaf wasn't even open yet. It hadn't opened. And they had this event called Midsummer Mardi Gras, and it was just a big party at somebody's house. And, even though they're kids, back then the drinking age is 18, so of course they're 16-year-olds drinking at these, parties and whatever. And so that's how the Midsummer Mardi Gras started, was just this
party at someone's house.
Yeah. But after several years of it, most people, they'd have it at their house for 2 years, maybe 3 years, and they'd be done because their house would be absolutely wrecked.
And at this point, there was no kings and queens yet.
Yeah, this was just a neighborhood party by a bunch of kids. And so these kids, the party kept moving around. And finally we get to, the mid-'80s. And the first Midsummer Mardi Gras I went to was on Jeanette Place. There were a couple of guys, Tom Kent's and Mike Kent's. And anyway, they after they had it at their place for 2 years, they said they didn't want it again.
No more of that.
Yeah, because the place was wrecked, and nobody would show up to help clean up.
That's so shocking. But
yeah, yeah.
So that's when it moved into a bar or something?
Well, yeah. So Terry Tucker, who's the one who started the Crew of Oak, she, I can't remember which brother she was dating because she dated both of them. But whichever brother she was dating, she was aware of this problem with a place to have the party. So when she started working at the Maple Leaf as a bartender, she got permission from the owners and then had the party at the Maple Leaf. And there was this huge success, except, of course, the place was trashed. But it was worth it because in early August, it was the ring was actually as big or bigger than the ring at Mardi Gras.
For real Mardi Gras, right?
Right. So, and this was, in the worst of the summer.
So you knew you had something.
Yeah. And then as far as with the crew, it was right around that time Terry Tucker also started the Crew of Oak. And, there have been some prominent New Orleanians who have been king or queen of the crew of Oak.
True enough.
Very
True
much
enough.
so. Very much.
We've talked a lot about the past and about the Oak Street, about your history there. What about looking forward? What's your ideal vision going forward for Oak Street, for the Maple Leaf? Like, what would really make you happy to see that become? That you leaving as a legacy?
Well, I would like to see the Maple Leaf continue as
Of
a
course.
music joint. I'd like to see the Maple Leaf continue and thrive forever. And it's funny because live music is, shrinking in New Orleans and Louisiana.
Everywhere, really.
Yeah, which is a shame because it's really has been the soul of the Maple Leaf for so many years. So that concerns me is that it's the music which gives the Maple Leaf its special cachet. I would like to see it continue as a showcase for live music, but also live culture, and not the biological kind.
You have poetry there too, don't you?
That's right. We have the weekly poetry reading series, which started in mid-'70s.
Such an eclectic joint. I mean, there's just so many things that you can sit here and talk to you about. Like, and what about the Po' Boy Festival? You guys have some connection to Po' Boy Festival on Oak Street. That is just a great event. I know you were heavily involved with it. I don't know if you retired or if you're still there.
I'm semi-retired now. I'm almost 70, and I've had 2 strokes and a couple of heart attacks. So I have my medical issues. But there's a team which is, in the midst of taking over everything, if they haven't already. And for instance, the Po' Boy Festival, which is an enormous event, it is very well run, and it's provides the neighborhood organization with a lot of money to invest back into the street. But it's basically run by Maple Leaf people.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say, that Maple Leaf has a large reach, not only on Oak Street, but on a lot of different things, too, that's going on in the city, too.
That's
like
right.
A lot of Maple Leaf people, you can find them sprinkled into some of Mom's stuff. You can find them sprinkled into some of Funk.
And actually,
Fest
we've
stuff.
got a Po' Boy Fest coming up. The 17th annual Oak Street Po' Boy Festival will be Sunday, November 16th from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. So we got to be sure people get out there.
That's correct. On another note, I would like to say that one of the reasons I absolutely love the Maple Leaf is some of the famous people I've met who've come through the Maple Leaf. And I'm the only person in history who can probably say that they turned down cocaine from Hunter Thompson and marijuana from Cheech and Chong.
Twofer.
That I knew that little tidbit, but I did think that was something very interesting. And are those like some of the biggest folks that you've seen there besides those 2 people? Like anybody can be. Did Bob Marley ever come around there? Or?
No, but of course the most famous musician was Bruce Springsteen,
Yeah,
who
that's what I would
played in the 2 shows 4 years apart, 88 and 92.
John Baptiste, man, he was really had that place percolating. Now this guy didn't play, but I was in there when he came by, and it was special because like the funniest thing is like no one was supposed to tell anybody that this person was coming, and when the night I got there, it was like every single person I ever met that was at the Maple Leaf.
Right.
So clearly it was out that
They
someone
knew.
was going
They
to
knew.
show up. And it was Robert Plant, and he showed up. And I remember him walking by right in front of me. I wanted to say hello, but in New Orleans, we have a way of like letting people live in their own environment. That's what's so cool about here. You know, like some people cross the line to go and bother him, but I wasn't going to be one of those people. And he walked by and it was crowded and people just like, wow. And then all of a sudden he comes in the back, kind of glances at Frenchie's painting, and he's like standing in the back, just standing there. And one random bastard, I don't know who it was till this day, but you could see a flashbulb pop. He was gone.
That's it.
It was finished. It was like out the door.
There was a similar incident years ago where Robert Duvall showed up.
Mm-hmm.
And he was it was on a Thursday night, and in those days we had Cajun music on Thursday nights. And he was just enjoying listening to the Cajun music. And nobody was bothering him. Everyone wanted to talk to him. Nobody was bothering him. They could tell, you know, it's like if he wanted to talk, he would say something. Yes. And then, of course, when I first came in, I'm there a little bit when he's there, but I don't say anything. And then I see him leave quickly. I mean, he almost ran out. And then there's this guy at the bar, and he's going, nobody was going to talk to him. Well, I'm not an asshole. I went right up and talked to him. Everybody thought the same thing. You are an asshole.
You are.
Because he was enjoying just hanging out.
I love it that you brought so much culture to the city and to Oak Street and to the neighborhood up there. I think it's wonderful that you were able to come here from another place and enrich the culture just with your existence, just being exactly who you wanted to be. And for me, that's the ultimate good vibe.
That is an ultimate good vibe. And just in that same note, piggybacking on what Jamie's saying, like that's one of the coolest things that I thought about the Maple Leaf was the fact that you were there and there was this guy that was a mysterious guy. I feel like you're like a brother of mine. You and I are really good friends now, but before I even really knew who you were, like I was a businessman. I wouldn't want to go call on it, or it was always somebody trying to find out how to get like you were like a unicorn, like you were like the guy Hank. Like,
has anyone seen Hank?
Right?
Nope.
It's like nope. Like no one would give up anything. Like you were like, hey, the worst thing a person can do is like, hey, yeah, I'm with so and so. Here's my card. There's an owner here. You're like, you're never going to see him. And that was a very clever thing. And as I started to like fall in love more and more with the Maple Leaf and just like really just like show up there and like it was like my cheers. I think it's a lot of people's cheers. And we want to, Jamie and I both
home away from home.
Yeah. And so with that in mind, you know, this whole show is about just bringing out positive things and good things in our community that's right in front of us so we can absorb it, feel it, and grow with it. But I want to ask you a few New Orleans questions, things like, and I don't want to put you on the spot because I know you eat at a lot of places. But like, what do you eat if you really like want to have a best meal that you're gonna like if you feel good? Like let's give some people like your top 3 restaurants that you love to go to that you frequent often, and you would tell someone who never came to New Orleans you would go there.
Well, of course, up in that list, of course, is Giacomo's. But the food is so flavorfully spiced, and it's just
So Giacomo's?
Yeah, Giacomo's. And
Did
then
he pay you to say that? No. I know y'all are brothers, but no, go ahead.
In blood.
And then any of Donald Link's restaurants.
Yep.
Absolutely.
I'm going to one tonight. Yeah, and so one more.
I know that's I'm trying to think now.
Okay.
Oh, I always love Brightson's there.
I love Brightson's, and then also, of course, I'm at Galatoire's every week.
Yeah, we go to Galatoire's a lot. So Hank, one more thing. What's like for you? What's one of your favorite times seeing music in the bar? And then the second thing is, what's the favorite movie that was filmed there? Because I know there's a lot of film movies there, and I know we are up on it, right, Jay?
Yeah, you're right.
Well, I used to love Doopsie Sr. I used to love watching Doopsie Sr.
He's a jewel, man.
Yeah.
And what about a movie? I also think, let me ask you this. I also think that there's something written in some movie contracts. I'm not sure about this, but I was watching a movie once, and I see you at the end of some of these movies. Like, did they just do that, or did you?
Now things have changed. New Orleans at one time, there was a real film industry here in town, and there were a lot of tax breaks. There had been a concerted effort to create a film industry, to attract the film industry. And then there was, after several years of New Orleans and Louisiana getting a film presence, there was a politician. He was in the state legislature, and he put something through at the end of a session, end of the legislative year, and it was it changed the tax break for these
filmmakers,
and it destroyed the film industry. Most of it went to Memphis,
Yeah, and a lot of it went to Atlanta as well.
Correct.
Just sort of, but I hear they just passed. We're having the film festival woman in here, and she was telling us that they just passed more of those film tax credits again.
Little by little, they're trying to get it back. But the problem is, now there's an infrastructure in Memphis and Atlanta also. Right. There are people who live there. There's a core of very, very capable
crew.
Yeah, crew. And so for them, they're not going to leave. You know?
Unless they need a special scene of something, right? Like if they needed the French Quarter, if they needed, I know some of that stuff can be put in, but I think that's it.
We're playing catch up now, and it's big time catch up. It's not like way back yonder when we sort of started out with a sort of even playing field. They're way ahead now, so I could see where there might be, a little sector, maybe TV movies of the week or something. But I don't see, certainly anytime soon, I don't see us getting a significant film industry presence again.
Right. That's unfortunate. It's been so nice having you on the show. Yes. We're going to have you back. There's just so much more we could talk about. I mean, we barely scratched the surface, I feel like.
Yeah, we did. And Hank, look, we really appreciate you coming because we know you're a very busy man.
Yeah, thank you so much.
And it's definitely an honor for us to have you here. And like Jamie said, we'll have you back. But I just want to let everybody know that, this is your source for positive information in New Orleans. Like, not only you get these stories, you'll get different things about like interesting facts from Bruce Springsteen to learning about who really owned the Maple Leaf and how this guy has turned it into, put his fingerprint on it and has done multiple things. And from John Cleary, we just always feel like we turn over all these different things. And that's what it's about. It's about getting your subconscious thought process some really good information, wholesome information. And we really hope that you guys enjoy this because we enjoy it. And we're going to continue to go through the city and find people like yourself and, shine a light on you guys. Because there's always a lot of people shining a lot of light on negative things like the news and murders and things like that. But there's a lot of beautiful things and people who spent their whole lives here. You know what I mean? And has created a bunch of things that you didn't even know that you probably would think a local person owns Giacomo's, a local person owns Maple Leaf, a local person's French, but it's you guys. And that's the part of what we want to bring to you when you come and sit with us for an hour or so. And we're proud to bring you, Hank. And this is a true honor for the Fan Cave, starting off with just, very few shows. And we already got like big hit guests. We got more down the road too. But Hank, your time is the most important thing you have. Jamie and I have this thing that we always say,
Well, thank you. I just want to thank you so much for joining us here on the Only Good Vibes News Network and for helping us put good vibes in people's lives.
Well, thank you so much. And I'm positive you guys will do well.
Awesome. I love that. And remember, the world is full of good people.
If you don't see one, be one.
And we're going to hit you with this last 6 things you should do. We always tell people there's 6 things you should do that's okay. And they're all positive and beautiful. One is have empathy, humility, and compassion for yourself. That's the 3. And the last 3 is always help people, Always try to be better and leave the world better than you found it. And then zoom in on number 6. Leave the world better than you found it. Not by water, not by food, not by air, but meeting a stranger. Having a good encounter like this, or having a good encounter with a stranger, whether it's a mundane thing like the post office, the gas, or wherever in the shopping center, have a good moment with them and go off feeling like you want to do it 2 or 3 more times. That's leaving the world better than you found it. And we want to let you know, tune in all the time to Only Good Vibes News Network with Whistle and Jay, and we'll help you get your day started positively.
Please like, subscribe, and share. Spread positive vibes everywhere.
Yes, and also you can check us out on YouTube. Yeah,
That's right.
Who dat?
Who dat?
Who dat?
But we got a vibe, y'all. We got a vibe. I can tell by your smile that you're in my tribe. We got a vibe.